So when we talk about 50% of the Northern Territory's landmass now being Aboriginal land, which also includes rights to the sea country, the priority has to be around economic empowerment. We cannot keep standing in this Senate, in the other House, talking about the disadvantage when we have First Nations people owning nearly 50% of the land. It's not just one section here that is failing. It is a combination of sectors that are failing to assist in lifting opportunities for the people up north. It's in this context that we view these amendments to the Aboriginal Land Rights Act. These amendments have been a long time coming and are made with the strong support of those 4 land councils. Those 4 land councils that didn't exist 4 decades ago. Does that mean that they are above reproach? No, it does not. Does that mean that they are perfect? No, they most certainly are not. Does that mean that they cannot themselves improve in order to assist the very constituents that they are there to support? Yes, they most certainly can do that. But we can do that too, as the Australian Parliament. It works hand in hand when this Act is a product of this Parliament. The support of the land councils is significant, because there are those of us who remember the battles, and let me tell you, if there were no land councils, those battles would return quick and fast. So there is a history of amendments to this very Act without the consultation of land councils. We only have to refer to reviews of the past where papers were burned because no traditional owners in those 4 land councils were a part of that. It's interesting to see that we've come this far where now we have the questions around consent and the questions around inclusion. Well, we need to listen to those questions as a parliament, and the land councils need to listen to that because it is an example of how far you have grown and the growth and maturity of First Nations people in the Northern Territory through the land councils, but also those who feel they are missing out. Why are they feeling they're missing out? What is it about their hopes and dreams as traditional owners who are not a part of these land councils at the moment? Why is it that they feel so disenfranchised? Who is asking those questions within the land councils? Who is asking those questions beyond the land councils? We know that there are 83 members of the Northern Land Council, 78 members are elected, 5 co-opted, every 3 years. Let's have a look at the question of how those elections take place. Is that something the Parliament, the land councils, traditional owners need to ask ourselves? Is that a fair process? Is it a process that still reflects how this Act began? Usually, Parliaments review Acts. The 1976 Aboriginal Land Rights Act, in terms of elections of its people, may also need at some point to be looked at, in fairness to the growth and the development of all those families across the Northern Territory, but also in fairness to the growth and development of the land councils themselves. If we are to achieve true economic empowerment, we must open ourselves up to the very strong, realistic position of transparency and accountability. Not just to ourselves in the Senate as the Australian Parliament, but also as I stand before you as a traditional owner of those lands. We as traditional owners need to be open and transparent too. We need to be able to feel confident in a system that enables us to have a voice within that system. And I know that there are so many who do not feel they have that. Why? Perhaps because they weren't around in 1976. Perhaps that, unlike me, I was only a little girl. They were not even born. But that does not mean that they are not important. In fact, for Yanyuwa, we are known as Jungai and Yimringi. My sons, they are the Jungai for me. How are they reflected in these land councils? Are they considered as traditional owners? So if I can stand here in the Senate and ask these questions, then I fully understand why there are traditional owners out there who ask the very same thing. It is important to have these debates, but it's more important to achieve the outcomes that's required.